right again. Good day to you. It is I, Justin Hawkins. Excuse me. And this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again, my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for the alerts as well. Today's a slightly different episode in that I'm not really going to be talking about music or even, maybe an artist to a degree. But I just want to share something with you, which I saw last year. A few people have seen it, actually. I noticed that this thing I'm going to share with you has been watched by 419,000 separate people, all individually clicking on it and choosing to watch. It's an interview featuring Sigur Ros, the Icelandic post-rock band. They were formed in 1994. They have 7 albums, and they're known for their ethereal sound and frontman Jonsi's falsetto vocals and their use of bowed guitar. Presumably that's a guitar that's played with a violin bow instead of a plectrum. And the band's music incorporates classical and minimal aesthetic elements. They're obviously not doing pop music or rock music as we know it. And they've never written a song in English. In response to that, they've said, we will try. If it's not right, then we will skip it. Which is fair enough. Anyway, so the thing I wanted to show you was this interview, and they were on a thing called NPR's Bryant Park Project. I don't know why they were there. I think they must have been on tour in the States and were obliged to undertake some kind of promotional activity, presumably to shift a few tickets, get some arses on seats, the usual stuff. And then they proceeded to conduct this interview.
Sigur Ros is Jon Bergersen on guitars and vocals, Kjartan Svensson on keyboards, Orri Pál Djarsson on drums, and Georg Holm on bass.
I really respect the interviewer here because he's really tried to learn the pronunciation of these difficult sort of Icelandic names. And he's apparently did a reasonable job, He's obviously done his homework, cares about making the band feel comfortable, and is really looking to glean some insights. But what happens is amazing.
Did you start out playing this kind of music, or did you start out as a more, people might think, regular sounding band, and then did you kind of go here as you experimented?
So the first question is, did you start out playing this type of music, or did you develop and then end up sort of playing this music? I mean, fair enough. It's hard to kick an interview off, I think, really. It's just trying to get a conversation going. but they just sit there in abject silence. And nobody... Usually when there's a band doing an interview, I mean, I've experienced this many times, there's a question comes in that nobody can be bothered to answer, and then eventually somebody puts themselves forwards and says something. But you really do have to wait a lot longer with Sigur Ros.
I don't know. I think we probably just started out playing like this.
And then he just says, we just started off playing like this. I think that's fair enough. I mean, if you have evolved to the point where you're doing a kind of music that nobody else in the world is even aware of, or would understand, or can begin to try and conceive of, why would you admit to having done? What did they think? What did he think they were going to say? Like, no, we used to do Marillion covers in pubs around Iceland, and then eventually we decided to do this ethereal sort of bowed guitar music that nobody else is doing. No, because then people are going to start hunting, aren't they? They're going to say, "Oh, I want to see them do Kaylee," or that one that goes "Lavender's blue dilly dilly." No, they don't want that. They want to maintain the mystique. It makes me think that, what if in in an environment or like a music trade where all mystique has been stripped away in favor of mindless, banal content, unlike this channel, which of course is full of insight and wisdom. What if there is a band in the world that will, do the politically right thing, appease their label partners in these foreign territories, attend these interviews, and then just say nothing? And that's more or less what they did. I'm going to watch a bit more.
I mean, what was the first time that you guys sat down with your instruments and started playing? Did you have this thought, we want to create this very specific kind of music? Because the stuff that you make doesn't sound like a lot of other stuff that's out there.
He's expounding on it.
Did you get...
And getting nothing.
Yeah. I think it just happened naturally.
It kind of looks like they've all had a big fallout. None of them want to be in a room with each other. They don't want to be in a room with somebody asking inane questions. And whilst he has done his homework, the questions are inane. I think by definition, it's a radio interview. So what else is it going to be?
And how do you guys create a song?
I don't think there's a single artist or band in the world that can answer that honestly, because there's got to be a different process every time. It can come from anywhere. He knows this. He must have asked this question of a million different people. Hang on. And what do they say?
We just sit down and create a song.
We sit down and create a song. So essentially what they're saying is their process is the same as all the other bands in the world, save for one important detail, which is that they are seated whilst doing so. Comfort is important. I wonder if they go into any detail about what type of chairs they've chosen.
Does one person start playing one instrument and then everyone else starts to kind of add into that?
Yeah, kind of.
Now the interviewer is sort of already a little bit desperate. It's only 1.5 minutes in, and he begins to ask leading questions, like inviting them to sort of paint in some detail into what he presumes would be like the creative process. So he says, is it one person starts playing something and then everybody else joins in? What the fuck do you think? Of course it is.
Did you think you would be the kind of band that sold 2 million records?
I don't think we don't really expect anything. So it's just, why not?
That's really cool. So the man is alluding to the fact that this isn't mainstream music, and yet they've sold millions of records. So the band are invited to remark on whether that's surprising, I suppose. And they entered this creative venture with no expectations whatsoever. So without expectations, why wouldn't you be surprised if it sells millions? You know what I mean? Like it's pretty pure. It's a pretty pure endeavor, I think. This interview, whilst it is excruciating, it makes me want to explore the music of Sigur Ros.
Obviously, at some point, you decided to get in the same room and start playing music with each other. What was the motivation? You just wanted to make music?
Yeah.
So he says, what was at some point you guys decided to get into a room together and play music. What was the motivation? You just wanted to play music? What's the answer? Yes. This is genius.
Are you enjoying life as a successful band that gets to tour the world and be a part of fascinating interviews like this?
Aha, so finally a little chink appears in the armor of the interviewer. Let me see.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. And I say, yeah, it's fine. It's just brilliant. This is like, it seems contemptuous, but it's just that they don't want to be there, I think. Is that what it is? Or is it just that they can't see the point of it? Somebody's asked them to do this thing. They certainly didn't elect to go in and say nothing. They just got nothing. They've got nothing that they're willing to share. it's just so inspiring. This is how all interviews should be conducted. It really is. I always think that when bands go into like radio stations, TV stations and that, obviously the first question I ask is, what are the artistic considerations? You know, usually I'm told bus fare home, if you're lucky. And yet we're obliged to provide content for those folks, aren't we? We're in there stopping the dead air. But Sigur Ros goes in and provides nothing but dead air. It's beautiful. It really is. You get what you pay for. That's the truth. The language that they sing in is the subject of some controversy, to the extent that there's an argument that it might not be Icelandic as we know it, Jim.
Jan, if I could ask you a question that I think you probably are tired of answering.
He still goes on to ask it.
But it's one that I think everyone is curious about as soon as they get into Sigur Ros, which is Hopelandic. You're shaking your head.
I love it. I love it. How can you provide a cross section of an artistic oeuvre, you know, a body of work that is evidently not of this. Well, how can I put it? It's not of this culture, you know. And a 5-minute interview on NPR, that's no place to dissect it. And they've attended. They were probably quite punctual, but I think when you see an interview like that, it's really important to watch the video as opposed to listen to the audio, because a lot of what is being said is what's not being said, and there's a hell of a lot that's not being said in this. I really urge you to watch it, because I don't usually like watching band interviews, because I've done enough of them myself to understand why it's painful, tedious, and why some of my answers end up getting contemptuous, and I've seen other people do the same thing. But Sigur Ros have raised the bar. This is how you do it. So watch that and let me know what you think down there. And keep coming back. Justin Hawkins writes again. Like, subscribe, sign up for the alerts and watch one of these 2 videos.